Today, I have the pleasure of meeting with Jeff Mickey, the tech lead of cloud storage at Google. Hi, Jeff. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Patty. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. So, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Would you mind sharing a little bit of your background and your really gives us a better idea of your expertise in cloud storage?
Yeah, I've worked in storage my whole career. Straight out of school, I went to work at NetApp, the number two enterprise on-premises storage company. I worked there on SAN technology, which means block, not file systems, for any of the storage nerds. And then I moved on from there to IronPort, a network security company. Ended up going back to NetApp, working more in storage. Helped start a company, Igneous and data storage, then went to Pure Storage, an all-flash storage vendor.
Mhm.
And then it was from Pure that I got hired into Google through some connections there. And so I've been on cloud storage at Google for maybe just a little over 4 years, 4 years, 3 months, something like that,
Wow.
working on cloud storage at Google.
Wow, that's exciting. What a fascinating background you have. So you're going to help us out, Jeff. When it comes to data storage and technology, what excites you the most? And please feel free to geek out. Let us know. What do you see?
Yeah, I think what excites me the most right now is just how fast the distance from the user to the technology keeps
Mhm.
widening, and that allows real big technological shifts to occur without having the user to know about it. So if you take something like um, your phone and what storage technology it's using inside of it, that's radically changed in the last 5 years because you don't know what it's using underneath. You don't
Mm.
have to care. You just open up some application, you see your photos, your videos, and they're all just stored there. Cloud storage is similar, where our users are now more using kind of a networked API, so they have a significant amount of distance between us, and I don't think we've had that in the past. In the past, it's been very locked into very specific
Mhm.
APIs and movements and stuff. So now the storage industry gets to move faster and faster these days. It's really great.
That sounds super cool. Super cool. Well, as you mentioned, it's moving faster and faster, and there's continually increasing demand for storage, especially as we look at how interconnected everything is from, gosh, you think of your smart appliances, your car, to all of this is so crazy. How do you see data storage and semiconductor technology interacting? How do you see that?
So a big part of how they interact is basically that most things are moving to flash.
Mhm.
Traditionally, storage is a physical medium, right? You're even for cloud storage, we're renting space basically physically that exists on hard drives or flash drives. And as the performance requirements have changed, and as this distance from the user to the technology has changed, there's more and more flash basically for everything. And so you have really fascinating stuff where you have flash translation layers, you have people writing custom FPGAs just to run on their storage, really advanced things that just require tons and tons of semiconductors. So the number of chips required now to ship any storage solution has grown exponentially. And a lot of that is driven by performance requirements. And obviously also just as chips get cheaper, we find more uses for them, then they get more expensive and suddenly we need more of that. There's this evolution. But hard drives are kind of like the 90s version of tape. We used to have these, like a VCR tape almost. You used to have
Yeah.
this magnetic recording strip, and that would be all your archive. Nowadays, that's how we view kind of a old school hard drive, which had little, metal platters. Like that's the old technology we now back up to. And flash is the main thing. I don't even know how to buy a consumer grade hard drive anymore. I wouldn't even think about it. Whereas
Wow.
flash, it's like, oh, I know exactly how to purchase flash today for pretty much any device. So it's definitely grown a lot. Another big one is just chips. So compute in general. We're pushing more and more compute everywhere. There's a CPU in every last little thing, and so every flash drive has usually 4+ CPUs on it. So you're looking at a lot of compute as well, and that has a very high requirement for quality in a semiconductor, and so that's also a big push.
Wow, thank you. So, with all of this need for more data storage, what are really the specific trends that are driving this demand or these needs, Jeff? Can you expound on that a little bit for us?
Yeah. So a big one is the the end user themselves now generates immense amounts of data. So if you look at, your cell phone from 5 years ago and the size of the image it used to take versus the size of the image it takes now, every time that photo quality gets better, that means there's more pixels, which means there's more zeros and ones, which means there's more storage. And so with cloud storage, we use the technology we sell for Google Cloud is actually the same platform we use internally for our own storage. And so when I say I work on cloud storage, that's actually all storage at Google. And so we're impacted heavily by this push for, every time there's a new Google Pixel device, it has a higher end sensor, it's storing more data, it's doing more, uploading more. And this has significant amounts of data behind it. From the enterprise market, a lot of it ends up being that there is no, people tend to want to store data forever now, as opposed to, you look at like SOX requirements or something like, there's always a drive to delete, but most enterprise users now, the value of data is unknown because machine learning and other things might advance in the next 2 years. So you might as well keep all your ticker data, for every financial transaction, for every last little symbol you've ever been interested in, every little sensor you put on a, you imagine a GPS trucker on a truck recording constant data. Before you would like use it for a couple months and then throw it all away. Now they're saying, let's keep it forever because we might have machine learning in the future that gives us some analytics. So with Google, obviously, there's tools like BigQuery in the cloud that can help you do these things. But that means our users now never want to delete data. They want it all to be, hot and available. And that pushes a lot more flash usage, which then pushes obviously a lot more semiconductor purchase.
Wow. So how do you see this? I mean, you shared a little bit about the cameras of 5 years ago, and now you're saying, now we have more flash, and we want to collect more data because we're not sure what the analytics are going to be or how we use it. Do you see this as just a demand or a trend, if you will, Jeff, that will just continue and continue, that will just want more data, more analytics, et cetera, as the years progress?
Yeah, there's kind of no end in sight. And nothing within, my lifetime, basically. Yeah, I'm sure there's at some point we will run out of, iron on the earth and we will need to, ride on Elon's rocket to go to Mars. And, but when it comes to, besides data centers on the moon or something, the demand is here and it's here to stay. Machine learning, the true revolution that's happened in AI really changed a lot of things for everybody in technology. And I don't see anything really changing. So the crunch around the pandemic or capacity requirements now, we have to plan out much further to try to get our orders in to make sure things actually exist. We have a lot of, one of the largest purchasers of hard drives in the world, we have a lot of sway and push about what they can do. But when it comes to flash, that market is much, much bigger. And, it's much more difficult to get our hands on the right stuff. And so we plan, 18 to 24 months in advance, and even then, we're almost always wrong. It's almost always more. So I don't see an end in sight, and I think a lot of it relates to the fact that the cloud transformation for a lot of companies of moving to the cloud has also been just an admission of that every company now, regardless that their domain might not be technology, they need to have a level of technical maturity to be able to accomplish their goals in the marketplace. And so I just don't see that shifting backwards where they don't need that anymore. I think this will always be something everyone needs.
No, I agree with you on that one too. What worries you most about the future of data storage?
That goes back to capacity planning I was just discussing. I spend a lot of my time on video calls like this discussing how can we be more efficient, more performance. There's a lot of organic and inorganic demand still hasn't evened out, and that's kind of surprising to me sometimes. Basically, new players and new markets I've never heard of show up and start wanting all of our to store everything. I'll use something like you look at apps today. You see your kids or teenagers using some new app, a TikTok, Instagram, something. In the back of your head, like, oh, there's a big company behind this. Those swings in popularity produce ginormous changes in our cloud backends in terms of what capacity we need to have. If every 15-year-old is watching the same video at the same time, it's a big demand. So that's always scary, just making sure we have enough, making sure we can actually get our hands on what we want at the right time. And then two, data storage is a very interesting market in that we store data forever, right? For a long time.
Yeah.
And so there's integrity, auditing requirements, being really excellent about transparency and visibility to our customers to make sure they know your data secure, making sure they know that your data is where you thought it was, making sure they can see anytime, you imagine some problem happens on Google's end and we need to dig in and, investigate, make sure any accesses we made to systems even nearby your data, you get a nice audit log and things like that. And so that's something we're working really hard on to make sure we have a lot of transparency around our organization and make sure people know what their data is, where it is, and how secure it is.
Would you say that's one of the things that the customers care about most when it comes to your products, or are there other things that they care about when it comes to data storage and cloud, really cloud technology?
So for cloud storage and for storage in general, it's always dollars per gigabyte at some point. So cost is a ginormous concern, but we're seeing more and more that customers are less concerned with the exact cost. Underneath some number, it's affordable. And so we find then it really becomes about actually insights and that machine learning I was talking about earlier, being able to understand your data over the long term. Obviously, as a storage nerd deep within my heart, the number one concern is durability. What I wrote down 12 years ago still exists. It's where you said it is, and it contains the right data. That's just table stakes entry type stuff. So it's hard to say that's their number one concern. I would say more about being able to garner insights from their data and being able to, really understand what they have and have some visibility. Cloud is different, very different than on-premises storage in that it's in it's in our data centers, not theirs. And so there's a lot of visibility we need to be able to provide to make sure that our customers are satisfied with where everything is and what performance they're getting for what price.
Wow. What do you think your customers will want in the future? Are there like technology gaps that is keeping the industry from serving their needs or needs of this interconnected world that we live in? What do you see, or I guess, what do the customers want in the future, and do you see any technology gaps?
Customers want, storage is interesting because a lot of customers don't know what they need from it. It's kind of a very deep back end thing. But they all use tons of it. It's a big part of your life. Even this chat we're having right now, I couldn't count how many storage systems are probably between me and you right now. And I don't know. And that's a success of technology that's abstracted away from me. But that means that a lot of customers end up wanting the world and kind of can't quite figure out why they want what they want. And so for the future of storage, what a lot of like the really up and coming things are those insights, that visibility, that clarity into what your cloud system is doing. But I also think performance is a really underestimated thing. And this is where the drive to flash is everything. The technology gets better, the network gets better, and then the customer says, oh, I wrote this new application, and if it was just 10% faster, then the user would be able to then it wouldn't be brutal to use. And so if I could just pay you, 10% more and I got 20% more speed, then I can implement a new application. And so you're seeing this kind of performance shift and move to putting everything on flash in a lot of different domains. And it's the success of some companies like Pure Storage. Certainly NetApp has all flash storage systems as well. There's countless others that are on premises, and Google obviously has lots and lots of flash. So a lot of that intelligent performance tiering is I think, a really interesting direction for a lot of people that drives a lot of purchasing decisions.
Wow. Wow. Jeff, I just find this conversation fascinating. I really do, because it is all about, from my perspective, as I look at CoreStech, we're just starting to get into how do we use our data and our data analytics, and what can we do to really drive more and better, I should say, faster strategic decisions based on our data and where we see the future of our industry. So ensuring that we have that storage, right? That's, like you said, the transparency, all of that is really critical. I can understand that. So I just want to thank you for your time today. This was really, really great, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Jeff. Good luck.
Of course. Thank you.